Will you look at that? This is just absolutely incredible. I have ordered another pen from my friend Jamie, and this one's not wood, it's acrylic that she made for me. And I want to tell you all about it. Plus, I want to tell you why you need a fountain pen during these times of crisis. I'll explain that to you. But first, look at this. It's beautiful. And I wish it had a name, but one of these days, things like this will have names. Now, this pen is really interesting. It has a beautiful smooth medium nib, and it's a rhodium plated nib, and I don't know how much difference that makes, but I'm learning. If you'll notice, one interesting thing about this pen is that it doesn't have a section. So when I hold it on the barrel, but it has been very comfortable to hold and nice to write with, which I will show you in just a minute. Now, you might be asking, why do I need a fountain pen in a time of crisis? I mean, look at me. This is my disheveled, non-haircut crisis mode. Here I am in confinement with my hair that desperately needs a haircut and all disheveled, but I have a very important video to do today. Here's why you should have a fountain pen. The first reason why you should have a fountain pen in a time of crisis. What else are you going to spend your money on? A trip to Disneyland? Not happening. So, people, if you have this attitude of, well, one day I'll buy a nice fountain pen, guess what? One day's here. It may not be tomorrow. So get yourself a nice fountain pen. And here's the reason why. So I've said many times before, I keep a nice fountain pen because recently some of members of my family found handwritten journals of my great-grandfather and handwritten letters that he had written to his wife while he was serving an LDS mission around right around the turn of the century, around 1900. They're priceless. And you can keep records and letters and communications electronically, but where are those communications going to be 100 years from now? If you get a nice leather-bound journal like this Paper Blanks journal that I have, and you keep it somewhere and let people know that it's something important, you've got important things written in it, that's really a valuable and beautiful thing. So I keep a journal. In one of my journals, I'm writing my life history. One of them is a day-to-day. One of my journals I write when I have a profound thought that I want to share. I write it in there. And so that's one of the things you can do. Now, the second thing that you could do is letter writing. You could write a letter to somebody important in your life, and I'm going to kind of demonstrate that to show how well this beautiful pen made for me by my friend Jamie, how beautifully it writes. Man, that's a spectacular pen, and it's very different. So now this letter could be to anybody you want, your grandma, your Aunt Millie, your pastor, your children, your neighbor. Here's an example of what you would do. Let's say you'd write, "Dear," and then you just leave this part, that could be anything. This one I might send to my local pastor or bishop, as we call him in my religion. And you, "Dear," and whoever you want to send that to. And then I'm going to write here, "Why don't you stay the hell away from me?" Question mark. Can't you see the X in quotation marks on the floor where you are supposed to stand in line, or are you stupid? Okay. And then why do you have to buy all the damn toilet paper? And then you'd want to end it some nice way. Thinking of you, you moron. And then you'd sign it with your name. So you just write it on out, and it's much more official coming from a beautiful fountain pen. And letter writing like this is really a beautiful thing, a beautiful way you can express yourself. It's going to mean a lot to everybody, knowing that where it came from and that it comes from your heart. With a fountain pen, and very valuable. Get yourself some nice stationery, and you can really express your feelings, you know, really well with something like this. And a little bit goes a long way. And this pen, I've got to say, Jamie is just her new hobby of making these fountain pens. Frankly, I hope it goes far, because this is spectacular and this is beautiful. If you'd like one of her beautiful wooden fountain pens, or one like this, or she has another one that looks like a dragon's claw. She has all kinds of different fountain pens that she's making. Let me know and I'll hook you up, because they're not expensive, and they're extraordinarily beautiful, and they're unique. And I just got to say, I love it. I am just absolutely thrilled, and it writes like a dream. Couldn't be more happy. Acrylic fountain pen, and I have my wood one. In fact, I'll just quickly... Earlier, there's another video. She made this wooden pen for me that's one of my very favorite, has become one of my very favorites. And this pen now, I just couldn't be happier. It's just absolutely thrilling. So have a hobby, do something fun, write somebody a letter. We'll all get through this. Get a haircut. Boy, wish I could get cleaned up. Thanks very much.